folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. It's so great to be with you. The Democrats do not want Kamala Harris. Make no mistake about this. Why would you want a ding-dong? She has proven over and over again that she is not capable of giving a speech, much less laying out a couple sentences. She's no better than Joe Biden. But the Democrats have a huge problem on their hands. How do you get around Kamala Harris when you have married yourself to diversity, equity, and inclusion? There's no way around it. My philosophy on this is why you have seen so many Democrats rally around Kamala early on. I believe it is a setup job. They are going to let Kamala Harris make a mockery of herself. When you look at Joe Biden, when you look at Kamala Harris, these are what? These are two useful idiots for the Democrat Party. They got rid of their first useful idiot. Now they have to figure out a way to get rid of their second useful idiot. We will talk about how they actually do that today on the podcast. But first, folks, I want to remind you that this podcast is brought to you by the Wellness Company, twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. If you don't have these prescription medications as part of your emergency preparedness plan, you are leaving your family vulnerable. Ivermectin, so many other prescription medications in one kit, in your home, in your drawer, so you are ready to use it. twc.health/grant. I mean it. Go get one of these kits today. All right, with that, let's get the show started. Here we go.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, folks, welcome back. So, Kamala Harris, you think they're going to be able to beat President Trump with Kamala Harris? Maybe. Maybe if they cheat. Maybe if they recruit the media into making her out to be the queen. But here's the big problem they have on their hands. The big problem is Kamala Harris. She is not known to be very eloquent. I think you're going to see the same situation when they march her out on a stage, day in and day out. She's going to expose herself for being mentally incapacitated, just like Joe Biden is. I truly believe this is the case. So what do you do to get away from Kamala Harris? I mean, Michelle Obama can't just come in and bump her out. Michelle Obama would be looked at as evil, throwing her weight around. Big Mike, you don't want that to happen, right? You can't bring Hillary or Gavin Newsom in and have the white chick or the handsome white guy make an end run around Kamala Harris, because you'd have backlash from inside the party. So maybe you let her falter on her own. They've got 3 weeks before convention. This is where Democrats have an issue and Republicans need to capitalize. 3 weeks before convention, President Trump, J.D. Vance, needs to be out on the campaign trail. Look, today, J.D. Vance is holding a rally by himself, I think in Michigan, I think. That's a good thing. We need to be out there because the Democrats, you're going to waste 3 weeks. Now, what if Kamala isn't their candidate? That's 3 weeks gone. And folks, I am telling you, time goes by so fast. Today is the 22nd of July. School starts for my son on, the 12th of August? By the time he starts school, the next thing you know, it's Halloween. Next thing you know after that, it's Thanksgiving. And guess what? By Thanksgiving, we should know who the next president is going to be. So this is no time to waste scenario. The other situation is Kamala doesn't have the support that the media is making it out to be. How do I know this? Believe them when they tell us this. This is AOC explaining that Kamala doesn't have the support that they want you to believe she has.
And I'm going to say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just going to say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Kamala, Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. And I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest. I'm going to be honest for them. I'm in these rooms. I see what they say in conversations. A lot of them are not just interested in removing the president. They are interested in removing the whole ticket.
Do you believe her? I most certainly believe her. AOC and the squad and the rest of the ding-dongs that she represents have never been happy with Joe Biden. Certainly never been happy with Kamala Harris. They're not the radicals that they want them to be. Now, if you're a party leader for the Democrats, if you're a smart guy for any party, and you look at Kamala Harris, do you say to yourself, yes, this is the next commander-in-chief? Yes, this is who I want to put our United States military, that I want to put in charge of the United States military? Yes, this is, I want the person with the nuclear codes? Is this the person?
Poor hubby.
Not
Folks. Oh, my Lord. It's brutal to watch. So President Trump comes out and calls her laughing Kamala. I mean, clearly it should be cackling Kamala, right? I mean, I call them the cackling hens on The View. Kamala would fit perfectly in there. She's a cackling hen herself. Cackling Kamala. Why didn't President Trump go down that road? My guess is he had some advisor that says, oh, cackling is going to be perceived as sexist. Don't use the term cackling when it comes to Kamala. But clearly that's what works with her. This is cackling Kamala. So I think it's a nervous laugh. I think she laughs when she doesn't know what else to do. Boy, is it annoying. And boy, does it, to me, show complete insecurity. That's what I'm getting from Kamala Harris when she does this. So it gets back to my point. What person in their right mind would think that this is the person that's going to carry your party over the top to beat President Trump? Nobody. It's why they have to get rid of her. So they're two useful idiots who are following orders, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They now realize are very beatable. That President Trump's soaring poll numbers have him in the catbird seat, have him in the driver's seat, have him in the cockpit to the White House. So they've got to do something. The only way to get around her is to let her see for herself how she's not capable. Axios wrote a piece. This is how you know something is at play. Axios, the left-wing Axios, writes a piece that Kamala Harris was going to have a big dinner at a tech entrepreneur's house in Washington, D.C., and she was so nervous about going to that dinner that her staffers ran a mock dinner. They ran her through what that dinner would be like, how to respond to questions. They even contemplated giving her 2 glasses of wine to make sure she was okay and practice at the dinner for 2 glasses of wine. Now, if you can't feel confident sitting at a big donor's house who's on your side, who's a big Democrat, and you're so nervous about sitting at that party, how are you going to sit across the table from Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping or Kim Jong-un or any of these dictators that we have across the country that want to take it to the United States? You're not. Which is exactly why what AOC is saying, I believe to be true. I really do. I thought there was more from AOC, but there's not. So let me just take this opportunity, folks, to tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. I have a Patriot Mobile phone. Times like these are why you need a Patriot Mobile phone. Some of your bill money that you pay towards your mobile service will go towards things like fighting for your First Amendment rights. Will go towards fighting for right-to-life issues. Patriot Mobile is on the front lines of defending religion. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Second Amendment rights. Not only do they put money to groups that support these things, but they ran programs and agendas that are also supporting things. They are on the front line of pushing these things. So that's why I support Patriot Mobile as America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. I want to help the companies that are helping me and this country. 972-PATRIOT is the number to call, 972-PATRIOT. You can find them online at patriotmobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for free activation, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Also, there's this Patriot One plan. One phone, 2 lines, 2 networks. So talk about being prepared for any emergency. One network goes down, you've got another phone line on your phone. Maybe you got a business and you need a second phone line for that. One phone, 2 lines, the Patriot One plan. Ask them about it. Again, 972-PATRIOT. Use that promo code GRANT, and I promise you, you will not regret it. 972-PATRIOT. You tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right. So now you've got the situation with Joe Biden. Joe Biden was so committed to making sure that his, quote, legacy would be a good one. Now, I will tell you his legacy is not a good one. I think he ranks in the top 5 worst presidents in the United States. You could offer up maybe the worst. Thanks to my friend Stephen Moore, who's going to be on the Real America's Voice show tonight, by the way, President Trump's economic advisor. He helped me put together a list. Woodrow Wilson is at the top of that list. You got to remember, Woodrow Wilson was horrible. He got us into World War I. All kinds of economic problems. We moved everything in this country to the left. He grew government. He was very bad. Herbert Hoover was another one who was horrible. You've got Joe Biden here on this list. You've got Jimmy Carter on this list, and you've got Barack Obama on the list. Now, you can mix and match wherever you want to go. Who's the worst? Is Jimmy Carter the worst? Is Joe Biden the worst? In many respects, I might put Barack Obama at the top of the list of the worst, only because Barack Obama started this idea of hatred for America from abroad, but also maybe even worse, this infectious idea that America is bad. He's the one that grew that like a cancer inside the United States. That's what was so evil about Barack Obama. Not to mention, he put us into a massive depression in 2008 and grew the size of government at a rate which has never been seen before. So all of these are very, very bad. But Joe Biden certainly is in the top 5. If not the top 2, maybe even 1. So Joe Biden's worried about his legacy. Now he's forced out by Pelosi, Schumer, and Obama. What does this guy think? He has to be so embarrassed. And yet the media comes out and runs cover for him, talking about what a hero he is. Now, a hero? Joe Biden sold the power that he had to the highest bidder, whether that was China, Russia, Ukraine, all these other nations that there's issues with, and dispatching Hunter Biden to make money off of. He literally sold out America for dollars. That is not heroic. We knew that he was in mental decline before the first election. Democrats, of course, hid it from Democrat voters. How the Democrat voters didn't see it, I don't know. You've got to be an idiot, which is why I say if you're voting Democrat, you have to be an idiot. I'm sorry, but it is the case. How do you not see the writing on the wall? The cover-up was real. Kamala Harris was part of that cover-up. She needs to be really held on the carpet for all of this. So there's nothing heroic about what Joe Biden did. He got busted. He got busted basically stealing from America, and now they want him out. And yet we get this from people like Van Jones.
Even people who are pushing for this to happen, it's kind of like when your grandpa, you got to take the keys. And everybody, you got to take his keys, you got to take his keys. You got to, and he's fighting, and everybody's so frustrated. And then you finally get the keys back. And then you just cry. Because this is somebody that you love. This is somebody that you care about. This is somebody who was there for you. This is somebody, you wouldn't be here without him. And you have to take something from him. Now, this is not, look, this politics is politics, but this is a human moment for one of the great humans in America. This is a huge moment for him, for his family, for all of us who love him, for all of us who wanted him to get across the finish line. But if you're a young person watching this is leadership. This is patriotism. This is what it means to put the country first, and put the party first, and put the cause first. When your arm gets tired, you let somebody else finish pitching the game. That's what Joe Biden has done, and he's done that for all of us. And so I just want to say, I don't know who's going to be the VP, the non-VP. I don't know anything about politics. I just know that I love this man. I care about this man. It was painful every day to sit up here and talk about him like he's just some problem for the party. Wait till we get to the convention. You're going to see people crying, standing, screaming, cheering. He may not get a chance to talk for 10 minutes. We finally get a chance to put our arm around this guy.
Put your arm around him. He's literally destroying America right before our eyes, and Van Jones is about to cry. Now, Van Jones is a wild leftist, so I would expect him to cry that his guy finally got busted. But Van Jones, you are part of the problem. You say you want to be kind to this man you love and take away the keys. Well, where were you 4 years ago? Where were you when the Democrats didn't let anybody else run against him and they rigged the primary for Joe Biden because Barack Obama could control him? Where were you? It's elder abuse, and you're part of that problem, Van Jones. In fact, almost every Democrat in a position of leadership, whether it's in the mainstream media or in the halls of Congress, you were part of the problem. Jill Biden, part of the problem, but Jill Biden turned out she was a puppet master through it all as well, side by side with Barack Obama and George Soros. So I don't want to hear this whining about, oh, you're so sad for Joe Biden. You're the one who put him in this horrific position. You're the one who set him up for failure. Now, what are Republicans doing? Trying to call Joe Biden to step down? Are you freaking nuts? Why would you do that? Joe Biden doesn't need to be stepping down. I want him in office. Now, I understand he's not fit to be commander in chief. I understand he's a national security risk. I've been saying this for 3.5 years, that Joe Biden is the greatest threat to this nation that America has ever seen. We've made it through 3.5 years. You put Kamala in there, it's going to be the same situation because it's the puppet masters pulling the strings. Why would you want to hand Kamala Harris the presidency and now force black women, suburban white women who relate to the idea of a woman president? Why would you want to hand her the moniker of the first African-American woman to be president of the United States, and now you're asking people to take that job away from her? Why would you do that? We know that there are dopes in America that will vote strictly off of whether someone's black or they're a woman or whatever it may be. Why are you going to hand them a victory? So Speaker Johnson, knock it off with the step down. And President Trump, you know I love you, but respectfully, I would say, don't ask for this man to step down. In fact, I think we made a mistake forcing Joe Biden to drop out of the race. Now, I think the Democrats had a big role in all of that, but we were pushing it. He was the easiest to run against. Kamala Harris is the second easiest to run against. But let me make something very clear here. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to be easily beat. They will cheat. They will lie. They will use the media. They will use big tech. They will squash our voices. They will make Kamala Harris or whoever else the nominee is going to be, and I still believe it's going to be somebody else, as I mentioned earlier. They will make them out to be the Messiah. They did it with Joe Biden. They did it with Barack Obama. In 2 weeks, they made him out to be the Messiah. This is what they'll do with whoever their nominee is going to be. Now, listen to them fawn over Joe Biden when these are the very people that turn their backs on him at the last moment.
This is history writ large. We'll all remember where we were and what we were doing at this moment. And just thinking about the president right now, what a man, what a patriot, what an act of selfless devotion to your country. And he has been a phenomenal president. He brought us back from COVID.
Wait a second. Brought us back from COVID? What are you talking about? COVID was basically on the way out when Joe Biden took over in 2021. Joe Biden has systematically destroyed America before our very eyes. Now, here's another thing Republicans will say. Oh, Kamala Harris was the border czar. She's done nothing. She never even went to the border. This is proof that she can't lead. Let me tell you something, folks. Kamala Harris, the setup job continued there, too. She was set up. She couldn't have won when it comes to the border. How was she going to win? Joe Biden opened the borders wide open. Joe Biden was not going to be deporting people. Joe Biden wanted the massive influx of people. You think he was going to let Kamala Harris go down to the border and shut it down? No. He was willing to say, hey, you're my border czar. We'll hang you out to dry. You do nothing. In fact, you can't even go there, but they'll blame you as doing nothing and all this. And meanwhile, we'll ruin America in the process. Kamala Harris has been used through this entire process. The only reason she was picked as vice president is because she was a black woman. She couldn't even finish in the top 10 in the Democrat primary, and now she's on her way to being the candidate in all of this. They set her up then. They're setting her up now. I promise you, Kamala Harris doesn't even see it. I don't even think she knows that she was set up by being appointed the border czar. The Democrats were always going to ruin America through our southern border. Then we're going to let Kamala Harris stop it. So now I don't even think she knows that she's being set up moving into convention. Not going to be able to beat President Trump if it's done fairly. I am still not convinced, folks, that this election is going to be fair. It's going to take a swamp the vote mentality like we have never seen before. President Trump says we need to overwhelm the ballot box by 10% or more in order to overcome the fraud. I believe the number may even be higher, which is why we've got to turn people out in record numbers. Here is Rachel Maddow again.
Gave us the best recovery from COVID of any major nation on earth at a time when the world has economically been struggling in the wake of COVID. The Biden economy is literally the envy of the world. He ended the presidency of Donald Trump at one disastrous term.
I just gave you the list of the worst presidents of all time. You put them in whatever order you want, but I don't think it's disputable. Woodrow Wilson, Herbert Hoover, Joe Biden, Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama. Maybe reverse order. It doesn't matter. They're the worst presidents. Who are the best presidents in American history? I would offer up 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 for you. Donald J. Trump. Ronald Reagan. Those two could be interchanged for number 1 and 2. What President Trump did for peace in this country, in this world, no other president has done. Ronald Reagan, what did he do for peace? He did an awful lot. You got Ronald Reagan, President Trump. I would offer this up. I would put Calvin Coolidge. If you're a conservative, you need to do research on Calvin Coolidge. One of the greatest, most conservative presidents of our time, set up modern day conservatism. Do you add Abraham Lincoln into that? Oh, go figure. I'm giving you all Republicans, by the way. Abraham Lincoln. I think most people would put Abraham Lincoln up on the top of the list. And after that, I would offer up George Washington, the first president of the United States. What he had to deal with then, nothing short of miraculous. So Rachel Maddow telling you that the Trump presidency was an absolute disaster, I would offer up, where are you getting that from? Literally doesn't make any sense. Do you want to know what a disaster is? This is a disaster, which is why she's not going to be president.
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
You think? Basically, that's wrong. You better believe that's wrong. I mean, what's wrong is her comments. Ukraine is a country. Do you want to hear just the beginning part one more time?
Ukraine is a country in Europe.
Oh, really? Thank you, Kamala Harris. Ukraine is a country in Europe.
It exists next to another country called Russia.
Wait, you mean that's why Russia invaded its neighbor?
Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country.
No, I would have never known that. What was the Cold War all about? Is Russia still a superpower? No. Us lowly Americans couldn't have any idea of how powerful Russia is.
Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
Why do they want to talk to us like we're kindergartners? Or wait a second, is she talking like a kindergartner because that is where she is on the mental spectrum? She is at the level of kindergarten status. It may be true, folks. It really might. Hey, folks, let me remind you about the wellness company, twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT. I urge you to do this. Well, this is chaos we're seeing in the world. We just saw the cyber attacks that shut down so many things, the airlines, all that. We know the drugstores are vulnerable. We've seen the drugstores shut down. If you need prescription medications, get them on hand. I've got food. I've got water. I've got ammunition like you wouldn't believe, baby. I got lots of ammunition. I get all these death threats all the time. People saying, I said, the door's unlocked. I'll leave the light on. Okay? That's my answer to all of you. Now I have prescription medications as well, thanks to the wellness company, including ivermectin in this kit that's still hard to get in some states in this country. So twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. I promise you, you'll be very, very happy you did this. If you need these prescription medications, you're going to want to have them. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. All right, so Kamala Harris, clearly a disaster. Do I play one more? You want to see one more little bit of the Kamala disaster that she is? That there are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these clips all over the internet of her just making a fool of herself. Okay? But here's the thing. She raised $49 million since Joe Biden announced he's stepping down, according to her, in small donations. $49 million. That should concern us all. If there are people dumb enough to give her money, and right now at a point where you don't even know where that money can go. It went to the Biden-Harris campaign. Yes, I would assume she could take over that money, but I don't know for sure. I'm sure there'll be legal lawsuits. Anybody that tells you exactly what can happen with that money doesn't know what they're talking about. Anyway, this is why I wouldn't give her money.
Remember Venn diagrams, those three circles? Right. And then let's just see where they overlap. You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those three circles, how they overlap? I love Venn diagrams. So I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, you know, the three circles. The television coverage of just yesterday, that's on top of everything else that we know and don't know yet, based on what we've just been able to see. And because we've seen it or not doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but just limit it to what we have seen. For us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present. I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been, you know?
6 former administration officials last week wrote that open letter urging the administration to change course, to change strategy. Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they not like us.
They not.
Out here on these streets? Kamala Harris out here on these streets? I don't think so, folks. I really don't. She's not out on any streets. Unless she was working them as a young lady, hence the Willie Brown, Montel Williams, sleeping her way to the top. Oh, I know. I'll be accused of being a sexist for that reason as well, too, right? This is what you're going to get with Kamala Harris. Now, remember, Kamala was part of the cover-up. Kamala covered it up. You and I knew that Joe Biden was a disaster. I think most Republicans knew. Every one of my fellow conservative commentators was talking about what a disaster it is, yet Democrats didn't want to see it. They didn't want to believe it. The media lied to them. And you know who else lied to them? Kamala Harris. She was on the front lines telling us that Joe Biden was sound, that he was secure. What about the doctors involved with all of this? Well, President Trump sat down with Jesse Waters. I believe that's going to play tonight on Fox News. I would urge you to watch my show first, then watch Jesse Waters on Real America's Voice. I don't want you flipping channels there, but this is a little preview of that.
You'd investigate the people that hid Joe Biden's condition?
Well, I think somebody has to look at it. Look, you had people that lied to the American public. And I tell you what, you ought to take a look at his doctors, because his doctors keep giving him this wonderful report. I'm not a doctor, but I saw him the other day, was unable to get up the children's stairs going into Air Force Ones.
Is it a coup against Joe Biden?
Sort of, yeah.
I think it is. I mean, look, there's a constitutional process, the 25th Amendment. If Joe Biden can't run for president, he can't serve as president. And if they want to take him down because he's mentally incapable of serving, invoke the 25th Amendment. You don't get to sort of do this in the most politically beneficial way for Democrats. If it's an actual problem, they should take care of it in the appropriate way.
Yeah. So here's the other situation that everyone's talking about, is that this was somehow an end run around democracy. And in many respects it is. I mean, you can't argue that, right? That you have a process, you have people show up at the polls, they vote for the candidate they want, and then that's their candidate. And then if the candidate doesn't turn out to be great later on, you don't get to just take away the candidate and disenfranchise all those votes. And so they accuse us of being the party that is that wants a dictatorship and somehow doesn't support democracy. I know you've heard all the commentators say that. Here's what you're going to hear a commentator not say. Is it really a subversion of democracy? They never had democracy in the first place. These voters never got a chance to vote for the candidate they wanted. Are they really disenfranchised? Or are they now finally saying, oh my gosh, our party finally did something right, push this guy aside, and now we may not have a choice, but at least we got somebody better? I don't know how many voters are out there being like, oh, I voted for Joe Biden and I want him to stay in it. I don't think there's anybody that wanted or wants Joe Biden to stay in it. He's the last one that they want staying in it, because he's incapable of it. So I got to believe Joe Biden feels betrayed today. I got to believe he feels stabbed in the back. And it's a total embarrassment for him. I don't think you're going to see him step down. And again, I would urge every Republican out there, stop with the nonsensical calls to have him step down. Please. For the fun of it, would you like to hear Kamala Harris again, just for the fun of this?
Let's talk about America's failure when it comes to understanding how you create safe communities. And by that, I mean this. It is outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street. What we have to do, and what we will do, is reimagine public safety. Let's talk.
That is the person that you want as the next commander-in-chief, literally a one who was supposedly the attorney general in California. Many people call her Kamala Lock-a-Brother-Up Harris because she literally put so many people away for low-level marijuana offenses. And now she's saying we need to reimagine policing, and putting more cops on the streets is not the solution. So this is a person who was part of the defund the police movement, part of the Black Lives Matter craziness, part of the left-wing radical agenda, and this is the person the Democrats are going to put up. So it now becomes the question. I want to believe that President Trump is not running against Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom or Hillary Clinton. What President Trump is running against is the Democrat Party and their wacky, destructive policies. President Trump is running against high inflation. President Trump's running against open borders. President Trump's running against out-of-control crime. President Trump's running against more foreign wars that need to be ended. President Trump is running against an overreaching, growing government. President Trump is running against the deep state, which has way too much control of this country. Does it matter whether the name is Kamala Harris? Does it matter whether the name is Joe Biden? Does it matter whether it's Hillary Clinton? And by the way, do not count Hillary Clinton out. This is probably the person that I see them slipping in at the convention. She's the only one a reasonable Democrat could make an argument for to put her up. Nobody, you can't run Gavin Newsom. His record in California is a disaster. Nobody knows who Josh Shapiro is in Pennsylvania. Yes, he's well-liked there, but nobody knows who he is. Gretchen Whitmer's another ding-dong as well, the governor of Michigan. And she's a white woman. They don't want that. So who do you get? Hillary Clinton. Yes, Hillary Clinton's a white woman, but she's got a record behind her, a record I don't like, but a record the Democrats do like. And she has a gravitas about her where we're coming off of these buffoonish clown-like characters running the White House. Just mark my words. Hillary Clinton's going to be right around the corner. So, again, are we running against the policies or are we running against the person? In a perfect world, I would say we are running against the policies. That America is fed up with the policies. But we don't live in a perfect world, and we know what America is capable of. I believe this will end up coming down to another election of personalities. Thankfully, Kamala Harris does not have a great personality. People do not like her. I understand that there's a lot of people that don't like President Trump. But here's what President Trump has that Kamala doesn't. There's a lot of people that love President Trump. Me being one of them. Probably you if you're watching this. There's a lot of people out there that would go to the mat for President Trump, maybe take a bullet for President Trump, do whatever they can do to make sure this guy is successful. Kamala doesn't have a base of support like that. Not even close does she have a base of support like that. So we shall see where this plays out over the next 3 weeks. They're going to have to fight about money. They're going to have to fight about all of these things, how it's going to play. And I think we need to remember a couple of things. One, remember that the Democrats are in a worse position than Republicans are when it just comes from the logistics of all of this. They're in a worse position than us. But remember this, the Democrats are in a better position now than they were 2 days ago. Even if it was Kamala. Joe Biden was a disaster. Remember this, the Democrats are willing to cheat, so don't ever feel or think like we have it in the bag. We are going to have to work harder than them. We are going to have to show up with more support than them. We are going to have to do everything we can do to make America great again, secure the election, get President Trump elected. Without that, they'll beat us. They will beat us if we are not just better than them, but extremely better than them. Because they've got everything on their side from the media and big tech and the ability to cheat. And the desire to cheat, too. We really don't have a desire to cheat. Thankfully, I guess. So we'll keep an eye on it for you. Hey, don't forget the Real America's Voice show tonight. We got a nice audience on Rumble. I want to appreciate everybody for watching today. TN121 writes, the problem is dumb women will vote for her for the abortion issue. They do not realize that if they win and they complete their agenda of ruining this country and controlling everything in our lives. That is correct, but I would offer this up. Those same dumb women that would vote strictly on an abortion issue would have voted for Joe Biden on this issue as well. Josie Cat 44. Kamala's not even black, yet they pushed her to be. She boasted her mother being from India and her father came from Jamaica. These black women have much to lose if Trump wins. So I just saw a statistic before Joe Biden bowed out that Joe Biden lost 31% of black women vote. 31% disappeared from Joe Biden. Does that come back to Kamala Harris? Probably a large portion of it does. And that's important. What about the black man? I think the black man is tired of playing second fiddle, of nobody really caring about him, actually caring about him. I think they now realize that the black man in America today has been lied to by the Democrat Party. I'm not sure a lot of that support comes back. You may see 5 or 10% of the people that switched go back to Kamala Harris, but I think overall the black men that are moving towards President Trump are going to stay with President Trump in all of this. Suburban women. President Trump has had a problem with suburban women. He's improving that. His demeanor is different. After being shot as well, I think you see a much different demeanor with President Trump. Kamala Harris is not likable. I don't think she's going to have some overwhelming epiphany that suburban women all of a sudden rush back to her away from President Trump if Trump was able to wrestle them back. This is competition with a K, writes, I honestly believe they stopped giving him whatever juice they were to keep him hidden. Talking about what were they hyping Joe Biden up on, and did they stop giving him the juice? Probably. Everything's a setup job. Remember, folks, how long ago was it on this program? I talked about Operation Oust Joe Biden. In fact, it may have been one of the slates, and that goes back over a year ago, Operation Oust Joe Biden. And I think this is what we're seeing today. When you talk about Operation Oust Joe Biden, this is it. This is the operation that I'm talking about. So, not good. Here, just for fun.
About America's failure when it comes to understanding how you create safe communities.
She doesn't understand safe communities. She wants to do away with cops. Oh, my gosh. All right, folks. I don't know. I think we have a record audience on Rumble pushing, what is it now? Doing great. So up over around 700 people, which is good. Over 700. Every day we're here, 11:15, 11:30-ish Central Time, 12:30 Central Time. Real America's Voice Show, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on RAV. Please make sure you find me there. That is a great show, and we have a big night ahead of us, too. We didn't even talk today about the Secret Service director. She was a disaster today. Her testimony is still going on. Disaster. We're going to talk about that on the Real America's Voice Show today. But I appreciate all of you for watching. God bless every single one of you. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks to all of you. We will see you back here tomorrow and on the RAV Show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Grant Stinchfield. Don't forget the website, GrantStinchfield.com, GrantStinchfield.com. Hey, folks, sign up for the email list there if you can. That's how I get in touch with you. I don't blast a ton, but I do use it on occasion. GrantStinchfield.com. Sign up for the email list. Stinchfield1776 on all the platforms. Oh, and by the way, TikTok. You know, I know many of you are mad at me for being on there. I use a burner phone on TikTok, but last I checked, we grew about 5,000 followers in just a few days. So keep that going. Here's the address for TikTok. Not Grant Stinchfield. You know, they kicked me off of there, so I figured let's troll them a little bit. Not Grant Stinchfield is the handle on TikTok. Follow me there. God bless all of you. Again, Stinchfield's Army rolls. We'll see you folks very, very soon.